Hey, well, thanks, Sam, for joining us. Dragging you away from your computer.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm sure I can spare a few minutes.
Fantastic. So, tell us about the platform you've selected for your client for the website.
Okay, well, I'm running it on Silverstripe on a MySQL database. The reason I chose Silverstripe is that I'm the main guy who wrote it, so it was a natural sort of choice. But more than that, it was also, it's very flexible. It's easy to quickly tailor quite a rich CMS to the needs of a custom site. And so when we turned up at the competition, we didn't really know what was going to be required. Now that we've talked to the client, we had an idea of what kind of features would be necessary, and it has been reasonably straightforward to tailor both the fields and the content model for the site, as well as building custom forms and interactions and things quite quickly. So it makes Silverstripe a good choice for this kind of project.
And we understand also that it's multilingual as well, which is an extra challenge, I guess. That,
Multilingual. One of the interesting challenges with multilingual is that every site, when they say we want to be multilingual, is slightly different, and finding the right balance of tailoring the content to the language but also presenting it in the right way and not overwhelming the translators with content. So for instance, it's more important to translate the navigation than it is every single page, and making sure that the content management system supports that well. And in particular, it's one of the areas where the content is probably going to be changed at the last minute the most, and so ensuring that we have a CMS that we can make those last minute changes without needing to go back to the design is going to be really important.
And in terms of progress, how do you think you guys are going at the moment compared to where you thought you might have been by this stage?
I feel like I'm comfortable with the progress we're making. I do feel like the hours from midnight till 6 AM are probably going to be the toughest time for me personally, and also for Mike, because we're towards the end of the pipeline. We are making progress on the design. However, I do think that our initial plans were to have things finished more quickly, but I'm still confident that we're going to be able to deliver well, and frankly, the more time going into the design is time well spent. In the meantime, I'm finding things to do, building some of the underlying functionality, but also recognising that there's going to be a lot of rework once we figure out exactly how that's going to look. So yeah, I mean, mostly I'm pretty confident with the progress we're making, and looking forward to the hours ahead.
And what's been the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge? Well, the most recent challenge we had was the servers have been going up and down a bit. Luckily, we had set things up so that we could work without that server relatively effectively, that we can work disconnected, so it hasn't been too much of a problem. I think probably the other major challenge has been, usually in an environment like this, the different disciplines, so user experience and design and information architecture, they would get time to really sit down and think about these things, sleep on them, put together, document them in a nice way, and hand on to the next person. We don't have time to do that kind of stuff. We really need to be feeding straight from one person to the next, and so there's nothing really like formal documentation. It gets as formal as sketches on whiteboards and bits of paper, which we can work with, but that does make it a little unusual. You are forced to go over things that other people have been looking at as well, to make sure that you really have got everything, because you're not going to get everything spec'd out in a nice document. I guess it pushes the agile concept about as far as you can. But overall, it's been a pretty exciting challenge as opposed to a frustrating one.
Fantastic. Well, all the best for the upcoming hours, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again in the morning.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.